Hello everyone, this is Mr. Islam, and today I'll be sharing with you my experience of traveling to Hajj, the pilgrimage. Now, if you've looked at the five pillars lately, you would have seen that Hajj is the final last pillar of Islam, and it's a very important pillar where most Muslims try to at least make the trip to perform Hajj once in a lifetime. Some people are lucky, they do make the trip several times, but everyone who wishes to go usually makes that trip at least once in their lifetime. So, back in 2006, I was fortunate to make that trip, and today I want to share with you some of the things I experienced and an overview of what Hajj is all about. So, let's begin. So, Hajj is actually a spiritual journey, a pilgrimage. It's a physical journey as much as it's a spiritual journey. When I say physical journey, you have to physically be fit and be at certain locations throughout the days of Hajj. Now, behind me, you can see I've mapped out the days of Hajj. Okay, so there's things that happen over a period of 5 days, and during these 5 days, the journey is quite tiring. You have to be at different locations for different times. You have to spend a certain amount of time in a certain location. And hopefully I'll walk you through each one of the days and what is covered in each one of the days of Hajj. And this will give you a good overview of what exactly happens during this spiritual journey for Muslims. So let's go. Day one, Ihram. Strange word. Now, I've done my best to find a sort of practical example of Ihram. Ihram simply means two pieces of cloth, white cloth. It could be towel-like sheets or could be cotton or towel-like cloth. One for the upper body, one for the lower body. And these two pieces are unstitched, so you just wrap it around. You can use a belt for the bottom part to secure it. And once you've worn the two pieces of white cloth, you're in the state of Ihram. Moving swiftly on to Tawaf. The English word for Tawaf is circumambulation, which is quite a fancy word, but it means to circulate around a thing. So I've got a model of the Kaaba here, and Tawaf is only done around the Kaaba. It's done in an anti-clockwise way, and it's 7 times for each Tawaf. Moving on to the next highlight of day one, which is you do the walk of Safa Marwa, and if I get a chance I'll put on the screen what that walk looks like. The last thing you do on day one is you head to Mina. Now, where I've underlined a particular word, I will try my best to explain. So Mina is a place, it's a location, and just to give you an idea of what Mina looks like, it's actually a campsite at a certain location. It's within about 3 miles of distance from the Kaaba, and people congregate and they stay in these tents with families and friends who they're traveling with for a period of time, which we will discuss. So that's actually the highlight of day one. Moving quickly to day two. Now, day two is very important in the 5 days of Hajj because day two's got its own name. It's known as the day of Arafah. And again, the word Arafah is actually a location with a hilltop where everyone assembles at the peak of the hill, and it's a silent time for prayers, and Muslims are required to spend a certain amount of time there. So making this a journey of my own, I had to go to each one of these locations at different points of the 5 days. So that's Arafah. So the highlight of Arafah is you stay there till sunset. You travel in the afternoon and you stay there till sunset. Following that, you head to Muzdalifah. Now Muzdalifah is another location, is a place. It's not an item, it's not a thing. And this is the closest I got for you to get an idea of what Muzdalifah could look like. So after doing the above, I spent some time in Muzdalifah. And I remember when we went, it was the month of December where the Hajj time fell, and it was extremely cold, and I remember shivering in Muzdalifah in the night and having to get a blanket and to cover myself. So I remember the stars in the sky in the pitch black night, and it was cold. Moving to day 3, we head to Mina. Now Mina is that campsite I showed you earlier on. Okay, you head back to that location, you sacrifice an animal. Now this goes back to Christian Judaic traditions, where we look at Abraham and his son and his sacrifice of the animal and passing the test. Now, to keep it brief, we commemorate that very act of Abraham passing that test, and the Prophet Muhammad, he emphasized that we must respect that act, and it remained part of the Hajj rituals. So we then, now every year, whoever performs the Hajj has to then sacrifice an animal, offer it to the poor as a gratitude and respect for the history of Abraham. After that point, you head back to the Kaaba, which is that location where the Grand Mosque is, and you do the tawaf, the circling around the Kaaba again, and then you return back to Mina. So as you can already see, there's a lot of physical movement between locations on each day. Once you're back to Mina, you're staying there at the campsite and waiting for day 4 and 5. So on day 4 and day 5, pretty much the same thing happens. You visit the 3 Jamarats. Now that's a strange word. It's a big word, Jamarat. So Jamarat, the closest thing I got to that is this, which is a wall that collects the pebbles. It's a symbolic throwing of pebbles on the devil. Right, so this part of the video, I'd just like to show you the journey on the map from the United Kingdom all the way to Saudi Arabia. So let me zoom into the United Kingdom, and here we are. And from there you would start your journey flying across Europe, all the way over Turkey, at times possibly going through Jordan and into Saudi Arabia. Now this strip in between is the Red Sea. Across it is Egypt and Sudan. So our focus here is the country of Saudi Arabia, and where you can see that dot is actually the international airport of Jeddah. Now Jeddah is a city which has the international airport for pilgrims to land in, and just about an hour and a half drive away is the city of Mecca, somewhere around here. Okay, so that's the actual geographic aspect of the journey into Saudi Arabia, Mecca. So on this final part of this video and my experience, I'd just like to thank you all for listening in. I have covered a few things. Hopefully, things are made clear, and I'm hoping if I see you around or if I can make the time, I'll take some questions and provide some answers. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day.
The works of man and the things he makes, how great, then how great the Creator. Though he strives to reach the heavens, he can barely survive the wars of the world he lives in. Yet how many times he's tried himself to immortalize, like his parents before him in the Garden of Eden. But like the sun sets with a call to prayer and surrenders to the night, here too are signs